Howdy folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am your host, The Mighty Bjorn, and today for you I have an Armored Warfare preview. Going to be taking and showing some stuff off here about the Challenger 2 Street Fighter. Right now I'm just taking and showing you a vehicle comparison between the Street Fighter, the XM1A3, which is a non-Tier 10 premium, the Alte, which is also a Tier 10 premium, and the Panzer 87 140. All these are either Tier 10, all of them are Tier 10 main battle tanks, so it's kind of like comparing apples to apples. And as you can see, well, the Challenger 2, statistically speaking, really doesn't all do all that well, except for in the realm of armor. Surprisingly, the armor protection is fairly decent on this Challenger 2, at least on the front. The sides and rear is inadequate, but most main battle tanks of this tier, the side and rear armor is inadequate and just meant for minor protection from light caliber rounds and fragmentation. Now, when it comes to camo rating, the Challenger 2 just loses out. And honestly, when it comes to gun, it's pretty lame. All right, now let's do an armor preview here. I'll actually show you a full armor preview of the vehicle. And what I'm going to do, is going to take me a moment to set it up. What I did first was actually set it up so XM1A3 120 millimeter main gun, which is most likely not going to be the gun you're going to encounter unless you're playing PvP. And with that in mind, it is the upgraded M829A4 Sabo ammunition is what I start with. So that's the armor piercing round. And just going to show you how the armor holds up to abuse from said round. Showing you the front here. Now, as you can see, the Dozer blade actually does provide protection for the vehicle. It counts as a layer of steel with air in between, which is really good for dealing with heat and ATGM type ammunition, any shape charged ammunition. But as you can see, as you get to the sides, the armor is butter. It's just butter, which is pretty typical. Now, you got the very front of the turret there that would still bounce shots, but that's most likely not where you're going to get shot if someone's aiming at the side of your turret. And then here's just to show the rear. There's actually some areas where some types of high explosive ammunition will actually penetrate on the rear. All right, now I exit out of here and then I have a bit of a brain fart here. I accidentally exited out. Let me go back in, and then I will set this up for the XM1A3. Once again, 120 millimeter main gun, but this time I'm going to show you the heat round. That way you have some comparison of heat of shape charged ammunition versus Sabo type ammunition. And the reason I use the XM1A3 is, if I recall, it's about the middle of the road for penetration and damage of the Tier 10 main battle tanks. There's some rounds like the Leopard 2AX is got a much better penetration. I believe the Alte's got better penetration with its Sabo ammo. But it's kind of the middle of the road, so there'll be some that are worse, some that are better. And it's just kind of to show you roughly how the armor is going to hold up in battle. Now, the next best thing to show you how the armor holds up in battle is actually to show you a battle. Now, I'm going to take some time. I'm going to show you a battle here really quick. This is PvE Hardcore. This is Operation Basilisk. And this is literally the best battle I had in the Challenger 2 Street Fighter. And, well, yeah, I mean, the battle was good, but I could have done better in a different Tier 10 tank, to be honest. And that's literally the moral of the story of the Challenger 2 Street Fighter. It's a Tier 10 main battle tank that is unique because it has an ATGM launcher. I think that's really cool. It's a two-shot ATGM launcher. Shape-charged ammunition. However, that being said, it's got limited use because what happens is the missile has to go up in the air a bit first, and then it comes back down. Kind of think of something along the lines of the Swain Fire. You got the M1 AGDS, vehicles like that, where it comes up, comes back down. It doesn't have any auto tracking. It's not a top-down missile. It's a direct impact missile, and it's, you know, in certain situations, you're going to run into situations where that missile is going to be useless, and you actually have to count on that missile system to actually essentially effectively do damage in this vehicle, because the 120 millimeter rifled gun on this, it's the L30A1, which is the same rifled gun that's on the Tier 9 Challenger 2, honestly really isn't good enough. And there's actually some vehicles that it struggles against at Tier 10, even with firing Sabo. I have nothing but Sabo loaded in this because at Tier 9, basically at Tier 8, in my opinion, Hesh gets to the point of being just about worthless. And basically at that point, it's like, if you're going to use a shape charged ammo, use heat or don't bother. Although that being said, there is still some uses for Hesh, but it's just not as good as heat. And I use the Sabo because of the reliability of the penetration in Sabo. The damage bonus, in my opinion, from a Hesh round just is not good enough to warrant having Hesh, especially at this tier. And at Tier 9, the Hesh round on the Challenger 2, in my opinion, is basically worthless. Like, to me, the Challenger 1 at Tier 7 is really the last time you want to use Hesh. And then, like, well, you got Hesh on the Challenger 2 ATDU, which is not bad. But I would still rather just be a heat spam and meme lord. Now, when it comes to the acceleration and top speed, the vehicle is solid in a straight line. Just really good, really amazing. And then you hit hills. Now, minor hills aren't so bad, but the steep hills really kills this thing for speed. Like, this is a good, like, not so bad incline, so I'm really booking fast. I'm also really going at top speed. But there is a few hills in some of my battles that I went into that, like, the M1 can go up this hill, but the this Challenger 2 Street Fighter can't go up this hill because it acts like it just does not have the engine power. Although it should, it's only a slightly heavier vehicle than the Challenger 2 at Tier 9, and that's without the ERA armor. The ERA actually adds quite a bit to it. And that's actually another downfall of this vehicle, is it just does not have ERA. So there's no protection for the side of your hull. There's no protection for the side of your turret. And there is some vehicles like the T-15 actually would cut right through the front of this vehicle, no problem. Which is a shame. Now, if I was hull down, it was okay, but if the hull was even slightly exposed, I was going to eat it. Now, this is probably about the closest distance you want to get for using your ATGMs. So it's probably about I think it's give or take 25 yards. I can't quite remember. And then it does have a hard kill APS, which is very useful. I think that's great. I would prefer a hard kill APS over a soft kill APS any day of the week. It's just more reliable. You're not taking the possibility of taking an unnecessary hit because it blows up that round in flight. Now, here was a good example of really being able to abuse the missiles. Because of how the missiles arc, I was able to actually arc the shot in from the top of the hill and pretty much hit right down on top of that M1 Abrams. And it made them pretty damn effective. Now, the other thing I want to point out that's a downfall for this vehicle is its turning radius. Its turning speed is abysmal compared to all the other main battle tanks. I mean, it's kind of weird because it feels In some cases, it feels better than the Challenger 2, but it feels worse than the Challenger 2 in other cases.
Incoming!
Now, that being said, this is, I believe, the third vehicle with a dozer blade. It does get bonus damage for ramming because of that dozer blade, and that dozer blade does act as extra spaced armor in front of the vehicle, and I do consider that handy, and the dozer blade is quite fun. I actually completely derped a 100% health Sphinx just by ramming. Now, that being said, this is a really heavy vehicle. I don't have any upgrades on this. I don't have crew skills for bonus ram damage, and I was just able to just completely derp a 100% health Sphinx with the dozer blade just by ramming. Now, one downfall with this, and I consider it a downfall, I'm not sure if anyone else will. I'm sure some people will that have seen me do it and actually knows how to make it work. But with the M1A1 Storm, I can actually scoop vehicles up. So basically, even if I'm not driving fast enough and ramming to do damage, I can possibly scoop the vehicle up and prevent it from even being able to shoot at me because of, you know, gun depression. But I can scoop them up and get to that soft underbelly. Works great on main battle tanks, especially like other Abrams tanks, the Leopard tanks. And the problem is with this vehicle is that this dozer blade is not good for that. Now, that being said, though, because the dozer blade runs the full width of the vehicle, it works honestly better, in my opinion, for spaced armor to protect the front lower glacis plate. So that is one benefit. Either ways, that being said, of the tier 10 premiums, let's go over the results, and I'll weigh in on how I feel about it as a tier 10 premium. So in that battle, I would do 23,662 damage. Sorry, not 62. 626 damage. Spot 9 enemy vehicles. And only destroy 4. Folks, this is the fucking best match I had in the Challenger 2 Street Fighter. And that's actually not even a... That's a very, very mediocre tier 10 match for me in any of my main battle tanks. That being said, though, I would actually end up number 2 for damage overall and number 2 for spotting. So I actually did pretty well there. But that being said, the Challenger 2 Street Fighter, do I think it's worth it? Well, it's a loot crate tank, guys. You're going to spend a lot of money getting loot crates just to be able to get this thing. And honestly, I would not recommend this tank. I would direct someone to either the Panzer 87 140, the Stritzwagen 2000, which is in the current battle path, or the Ulte over this thing. Actually, I would recommend just about any tier 10 main battle tank over this thing. But that's just how it is. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, folks, hopefully you enjoyed this Armored Warfare video and preview of the Challenger 2 Street Fighter. And have yourself a wonderful day.